Hello and welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneurship 101, a weekly podcast from the Abington Launchbox. I'm Alex Angermeyer, the Launchbox producer, and I'm joined here again with the director of the Abington Launchbox, Peter Thornberger. Peter, how you doing today?
I'm good, Alex. Again, as always, thanks for asking, thanks for having me, and thanks for producing another one of these episodes where we gather weekly to record live on Entre, which is a platform for entrepreneurs to connect and communicate. And then we release this as a podcast every Tuesday on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, but each week on Entrepreneurship 101. A couple of us, today it's Alex and I, will discuss 3 topics and only talk about them for 101 seconds. So we give you a quick bite of some things that are topical, newsworthy in the world of entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation, and hopefully just give you a way to tune in, connect for a little bit, maybe see some people. And if you can join us live on Entre, you can be part of the crowd. You can be part of the after show where we'll invite you up on stage. And if you're on the podcast, listen, give us feedback, give us comments, and most importantly, if you can, give us a rate and review. We would appreciate the feedback as we go. So, Alex, let's get started. We're ready to roll. We're already in December, and this is episode 11. So, thanks again, Alex, for being a producer. 11 episodes deep. Let's keep on going.
Yeah, we'll do. So we'll dive right into the first topic. Basically, I brought up this topic. It's basically cold outreach. I mean, yeah, it's basically all cold outreach on LinkedIn. So basically, how do you formulate your cold outreach for success to recruiters, professors, people you want to reach out to? Because, like it better or not, I mean, cold outreach is very hard to do. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I'm going to put myself on the clock. I'm going to start a clock of 101 seconds. And man, I don't even know where to begin. Cold outreach is intimidating to me personally. So it's something that I would definitely be looking for help and support. It's not my strength. Even though as I do this, sitting here looking at myself on video on the Entre platform and doing things in a podcast each week. So it's a lot going on. So cold outreach is something that I think there's some things that we could be doing prior to that outreach happening. One, obviously choosing the right people, or more importantly, making sure if you're the wrong person, even as the leader of the entrepreneurial effort, as part of the sales team, you might not fit there. So you need to make sure you're in the right role yourself, particularly as the startup entrepreneur. But then also, one of the things that we want to do is also think about the steps. You know, where do we want people to get to with that initial outreach? What are some first steps of where you want the next step to be? So I think that's something that I've personally struggled with, is trying to move too far too quickly, particularly with cold outreach. And I think getting that relationship built, and more importantly, listening to what are some of the things that I think are important and valued by the person that you're cold outreaching to. Hard to do when it's cold outreach because you need a response to get that. So how do you drive the first original engagement? Is, again, calls to action, trying to make that a sizable piece that is not too much to ask for someone that's outside of your comfort zone. I only have 101 seconds. I'm not a professionalist, but I'm going to start with keep it sizable and put the right person on the job. We've got Robert over here as well, and we're going to get him onto the stage here in a second to give some of his thoughts on cold outreach, because we want to involve some of our listeners as well. So, Alex, we're going to come to you first, and then Robert, we'll get you up here on the stage in just a second to hear some of your thoughts. We'll put you on the 101 second clock as well. So the goal on Entrepreneurship 101, give your quick opinions, try to do them in 101 seconds. So you can do it in 10 seconds, that's great, but the goal is to try to use 101 seconds as fully as possible. So, Alex, I'm going to reset the clock, put you on it. What are your thoughts on cold outreach? How do you do it? And definitely, how do you do it better than me so I can learn?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Basically, what I came to the conclusion, like I've been going into like, oh, they should respond. Why are they not responding? But you have to go into thinking that like only 1% or 10%, they're not. A lot of people are not going to respond, give you the time of day, and nothing's worse than they see the message and they don't respond. But it's going to happen. I mean, it just happens on LinkedIn. It happens everywhere. But you just have to get in the mindset that if they really want to respond, they'll respond, and then you just have to keep trying. I mean, I guess it's like a numbers game at that point. Like, do you reach out to 100 people? Maybe 5 people will get back to you, or 10 people will get back to you. Just basically a numbers game. And like, it's hard, like for college students, especially like with resumes and everything. I attended that event, you basically want to reach out to the recruiter. You just don't, because when you send your resume nowadays, it's through AI and scanning, so you don't even get through square one sometimes. So you want to reach out to these recruiters, and some of these recruiters, I guess, are getting a lot of messages. I mean, that's their job, basically, be on LinkedIn all the time. So maybe they do want to get to you, but sometimes they can't. So it's basically like trying to relate to some on topic, maybe like the best thing, like the same school, like you can relate to like the football team, like how, like introduce it by saying how Penn State football is doing or something like that, relate towards each other. But also you don't want too much fluff, because they probably see a lot of fluff from being a recruiter. So you just want to be straight to the point, but have a little icebreaker in it. But yeah, it's basically very hard. But if you can just keep trying, I think it's a numbers game, but someone will respond to you and appreciate your message.
So one of the cool things here, recording live on Entras, we get guests, and we have a guest that popped in with us. This is Robert Hanna that's going to join us. He's got some thoughts on outreach, and we're going to put him on his first 101 second clock in a second. But Robert, hello and welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, Peter. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be on your stage.
It's awesome. So, Robert, you want to give us a little bit of background about who you are and what brought you into a space like Entra and into this kind of podcasting platform?
Sure. Yeah. Well, my name is Rob Hanna. I'm based in the UK. I'm the founder and managing director of KC Partners. So we're an innovative talent solutions and content creation firm. I specialize in helping lawyers secure their dream jobs across the globe. And I've built sort of teams across a number of jurisdictions. And I'm an active podcaster. So I host the Legally Speaking podcast, which is in the top 1.5% now of podcasts globally, and we're sponsored by a legal tech platform called Clio. I'm also a LinkedIn Top 100 Rising Star, and very much immersing myself in the world of social audio, podcasting, Web3, an active content creator. I'm a big believer in the whole decentralization movement. So yeah, I found out through Entra, through Clubhouse, and I have to say Entra is definitely my favorite platform. I think all the features and the way it supports entrepreneurs, business, the future of work, professional networking, it's definitely ready-made and a platform that I'm excited to be here, and that's how it came about.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for having the courage to take 101 seconds. So if you're listening to our audio-only podcast, you can't see us. One of the benefits of joining us on Entra is we do this with video. So there's an actual count up clock. We don't count down to 0. We count up to 101 on Entrepreneurship 101. So you can join us. So I'm going to put Robert on the clock. So Alex, you want to do the intro? Ask Rob his question, and then I'll turn him onto the clock.
Yeah, so you said you basically live on LinkedIn, so being a top 100 recruiter. So what is the best outreach for students like me to reach out to you? I basically, like I mentioned, fluff or anything. So what is the best way to reach out to you as a recruiter?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the first thing you always need to think about when reaching out to somebody, it's known as the favorite radio station, WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. I believe the best way to start a professional relationship is to try and lead with some form of value. So let's say I get a number of aspiring law students that wish to be future lawyers. A great way for them to start a relationship with myself is to be like, hey, Rob, I see that you run the Legally Speaking podcast, that you've had X, Y, and Z guests on recently, and I also see you have brand ambassadors. I would love to come on board and help create content. I've got some interesting ideas about how I can supercharge your podcast and direct them to my social media following, where I've got X, Y, and Z followers. Would love to jump on a call and start a relationship that way. So I'm a big believer in whenever you're trying to start on a cold outreach in terms of what's in it for the individual, more so than necessarily what you're indirectly looking for straight away, because you want to lead with value of starting a relationship. In terms of other things that I think have been touched on but mentioned, I always say the work warm analogy. Who do you know who could introduce you to somebody you don't know? So there may be someone within your existing network you might be able to use to get a warmer introduction than having to be purely cold. Or could you get them to put you in CC through an introductory note to the potential end decision maker you may be looking for? I think platforms like LinkedIn now, who have produced a number of features such as voice notes, I think the power of tone, pace, volume, vocabulary, all of those things can be super powerful in terms of making an initial first impression. Rapport wins the war, and get their attention with a good hook, jab, and add value. And I'm done.
Wow. You can see why. Rob, you are a professional. You handled the first 101 seconds better than I think either Alex and I do, and we do this every week. So that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. You're most kind. You're most kind. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's great to be here.
No, that was awesome. We appreciate it. We're going to jump into conversation number 2. So, Alex, more importantly, where can people find this, right? We've got guests like Rob here joining us, just jumping in, joining us live. But where can people actually track down these podcasts? Where do they find us?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel, Abington Launchbox. You can find us. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you would like to be a guest, you can contact us at abington.launchbox.psu.edu.
Yeah, or just join us on Entra. So join Entra.com and check us out there. Fridays at 12:15 p.m. Eastern is when we record this. So Alex, topic number 2, I'm going to bring over to you. So we've been talking a little bit about the metaverse, trying to learn more about that. One of the things that I like about this Entrepreneurship 101 podcast is we're always coming up with topics that I honestly don't know much about. So we're talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and what's happening with the metaverse, NFTs, but also gaming. So gaming is one thing at least I have some handle on, but we're starting to see where there's going to be a combination of some of this, and some major gaming companies are starting to announce possible NFTs coming into their platforms. What are your thoughts on the future of gaming, NFTs? How does that concept now of having kind of a digital currency for a digital game that has digital, unique content in it? What do you see as the future of gaming and the connection point between the metaverse and NFTs? I'm going to give you 101 seconds starting right now.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So yeah, Ubisoft just announced that they're recently creating in-game NFTs, and I think that's amazing. I mean, I played Fortnite in high school, and I bought $20 skins just to be able to have that costume in that game. And now, if you think about it, if they created a non-fungible token with that that costume, for example, and transfer that over to a different game, I think that's what Ubisoft is going to do. If you buy this land or buy this item in this game and you can transfer it to different games, I think that'll create more value for the gamer. And there's especially other models, play to earn. I mean, there's just people like, for example, League of Legends. People love this game, and they have subreddits and they love to interact and play the game, and they don't earn anything. They just love to be the top 1 or the best gamer or the top level 60 or whatever. But now, if you're able to earn while playing, that just ups the playing field, and people will enjoy that. And just being able to say, I own this now, and this is how much it's worth, and now you're part of the game. Now you're basically, now the game's not just your time, it's an asset. It's not like a liability. It's not wasting your time. It would be more of an asset. So I really think this is going to be the future. And basically, if like all these, like Fortnite made billions of dollars, and now if they took that same idea and made NFTs, I feel like they'll have a bigger audience or just more revenue. So I feel like this will be the future. I feel like more people will come in this space, and I think because of Web3 and everyone's talking about it, I think this will be the future, and we'll see more to come from this.
All right. Thanks, Alex. I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this, and I do think this is a big deal. I think it's going to impact gaming, but I also think this is a bridge to something else. Whatever that something else is, I'm not necessarily sure yet, but at least what I see, and again, I'm no expert, I'm just giving my opinion as someone that plays a lot of video games. I really like the concept of gaming. As an educator, I think games are a great space to learn because they're paced and sequenced at a method that tends to have high challenge but low frustration. What I like about that is I think that's also a platform now where as you bring in the concept of cryptocurrency, digital currency, but also the concept of having unique value created from these digital tokens, is this platform is really designed to help people learn. So no matter what game it is, you can go back through history. You're learning button sequences. You're learning trigger points for when actions happen. You're learning how to solve problems. Now you start embedding currencies and values into this space. I really like it because I think there's a lot of learning that happens as people play. Where it goes next is, does it then connect further to a larger metaverse that has people engaging online, taking action of some kind, creating or exchanging items and currencies of value? And the gaming platform, I think, is going to be one of the first spaces where that happens. And that, I think, will then expand into broader things like work and deeper expressions of art. All right, so that's my 101 seconds on that. So we're already wrapping up down to our third topic of the day. So Alex, before I get into that, just one more time, tell people where they can track down not only our live recordings on Fridays, but also when we release these as our podcast. Where do people find those?
Yeah, you can find our live recordings here on Entra at 12:15 on Fridays, on YouTube on Tuesdays, I believe at 11. And basically, you can find us too on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we're always looking for guests. So if you're interested in that, you can find us at abington.launchbox.psu.edu.
All right. All right. You want to kick off the final topic of the day?
Yeah. So as a student, I always wanted to know this. And you as a professor, do you think GPA matters? And do you think it determines your success after college?
So I hope not, because my GPA was not stellar. But somehow I work in a university and as a professor. So one of the things that I did a few years ago, I actually created a program called Your GPA is Not the Only Number That Matters While You're in College. And what that was getting to was, I think GPA matters, just not as much as you think it does in the moment. I think it's better to have a good GPA than a bad GPA, but I don't know that a 3.8 GPA is massively more valuable than a 3.6. There are some other numbers that I think we should be thinking about as we're in college, and I'm no longer in college, but things like our credit scores, things like the value of our investment portfolio, and or at least getting started. How long have you started saving money and investing money? The time to do that is actually as soon as possible, as early as possible. And I think those numbers are going to be much more important for you in building a long-term stable foundation for you that enables you to take chances, travel, make bigger connections, make more connections that are going to enhance your career far more than the GPA that kind of, once you graduate, once you cross that stage to graduation, your GPA kind of depreciates in value really, really quickly. Whereas things like your credit score, your value of your portfolio, the amount of savings you have, those things are only going to appreciate in value after the day you walk across the stage and get your diploma. So those are my thoughts, Alex. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts as a student. So I'm a professor. I haven't had you in class yet, but let's hear what your thoughts are. GPA, does it matter? And is it the most important number you accrue while you're in college as a student? Go for it. 101 seconds.
Yeah, when I came into college, I always thought it's the most important thing. You need this. You need to put it on your resume. If it's really bad, you can't put it on your resume. But from talking to you and talking to many people, I believe that's false. Like you said, it depreciates right after college. I mean, more importantly, it's your credit score, investing. And that's the sad thing. It's just that like a lot of students don't get that education, that financial literacy education. Like when I was in high school, like it was an elective and there was not a lot of people in that class. So, and where they weren't paying attention, but I think it's very important, like learning about your credit score and starting credit score at 18 or getting your first credit card, because that you have to plan for retirement. And then when you want to retire, or like when you think about retirement, it might be too late. And that's probably first job, but you can start at 18. So basically that too. And then basically your net worth, or your network is your net worth, I feel like. So I feel like your network is more important. I think that's number one. I think GPA is like lower on the list. Basically just making those connections like we talked about, cold outreach, but basically get those warm leads, basically like Robert said, basically just using your connections to get where you want to, because you're basically those connections. People rather work with people they like or know than people that just have a good GPA, I feel like, or just did well. Because if they know this person or they know of someone or they know how, like if someone endorses them, I would say, they would rather work with that person than just a GPA or a resume.
All right, there it is. The final 101 seconds, as always, goes to our producer, Alex Angermeyer. He's a student at Penn State Abington. He's an amplifier of the Launchbox program that we have that helps support and engage with small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs. We're here on the Entre platform recording our live podcast, and that is it for the day today on Friday. This will be released on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found on Tuesdays at 11. But Alex, I'm going to just give you the final word as we wrap up, and then we'll do a quick after show for the Entre only group. And we'll let people take the stage, take a shot at 101 seconds if they want. But before we get to the after show and the fun here on joinentre.com, Alex, final words for the day.
Yeah, thanks for everyone joining this live on the live Entre platform. We really do appreciate it. You can find this recording next Tuesday on YouTube at 11. And thank you for watching.